Welcome to the Explainer. Today, we're going to talk about a really powerful tool that helps businesses stop guessing and start predicting the future, all by using the data they already have. So let's kick things off with a challenge that, let's be honest, almost every business faces. How do you make smart, strategic decisions when you feel like you're drowning in data and surrounded by uncertainty?
Think about it. You've got sales figures, market trends, customer feedback. It's all coming at you at once. So, how in the world do you figure out what truly drives success? What's the important stuff and what's just, noise?
Well, that's exactly where predictive analytics comes into play. The core idea is actually pretty simple, but it's incredibly powerful. Look at the patterns of the past to understand what's likely to happen in the future. It's all about shifting from just using your gut to making real data-driven strategy. And that brings us to one specific, super useful tool for finding those patterns. I like to think of it as a statistical detective. It's called regression analysis. Okay, so that's a mouthful. What does it actually mean in plain English? Well, simply put, it's a tool that helps you answer questions like, hey, if I spend an extra $10,000 on advertising, how much can I realistically expect my sales to go up? It doesn't just find connections, it quantifies them. That's the key. So the way it works is by looking at two main types of variables. On one hand, you have what we call the influencers, or, the independent variables. These are the things you can actually control or measure, like how much you're spending on ads. And then, on the other side, you've got the outcome, the dependent variable. This is the big thing you're trying to predict, like your total sales. Okay, so if you just throw your raw data onto a chart, it often looks, well, like this. A total mess, right? It's just a chaotic jumble of dots. It's almost impossible to see a clear story in all that noise. But here's where regression works its magic. It cuts right through all of that chaos. It uses math to find the one single straight line that best summarizes the relationship hiding in that data. It's brilliant, really. It finds the simple trend buried in all that complexity. And you know what's crazy? The engine driving all of this is an equation you probably learned back in middle school, the formula for a straight line. Yeah, that's it. Y is the outcome we want to predict. X is the factor that influences it. The analysis just crunches the numbers to find the perfect values for A and B to draw that best fit line. And bam, you've got your recipe for prediction. Okay, so that's the theory. But how does this actually play out in the real world? Let's check out some examples of how this tool generates some serious business insights. All right, check this out. There was this big car company, and they were in hot water after a bunch of safety recalls. They desperately needed to rebuild public trust. They used regression analysis to figure out what customers really cared about. Now, they might have guessed it was things like customer service or being an American company, but the data told a completely different story. It was crystal clear. Safety was the number one driver and by a massive margin. That insight allowed them to focus their entire comeback campaign on the one thing that truly mattered. Or how about this one? A startup wanted to make hobby kits for tweens, but, startups. They had a really tight budget. Instead of just throwing ideas at the wall, they used regression to see which product ideas had the strongest connection to whether or not someone would actually buy it. These numbers you see here, the coefficients, they're basically a score for how strong that connection is. The higher the number, the better. And just like that, they had a clear, data-backed roadmap for what to build first. And the thing is, its use cases are just everywhere. It's not just for marketing. We're talking about banks using it to figure out who's a good bet for a loan, retailers using it to predict how many toys they need to stock for the holidays, and even financial firms using it to spot fraudulent transactions. It is truly the workhorse of data analysis. Okay, but here's a reality check. Regression isn't a magic crystal ball. It's an incredibly powerful tool, for sure, but if you're gonna use it, you absolutely have to understand its rules and its limits. It is not foolproof. And this brings us to the golden rule of, all of statistics, really. You've probably heard it before. Correlation does not equal causation. Just because two things happen at the same time, like, ice cream sales and shark attacks both go up in the summer, that doesn't mean one causes the other. A regression model can show you a super strong relationship, but it can't, on its own, prove that A causes B. So if you want to get results you can actually bet your business on, you have to nail three key things. First, your data has to be good. Garbage in, garbage out, right? It's as simple as that. Second, you've got to pick the right type of regression model for the question you're asking. And third, and this is a big one, You have to interpret the results carefully. You always have to be thinking about the context and the model's own assumptions.
Okay, so we've been through a lot. What's the big takeaway here? What's the ultimate point of all this?
It really comes down to this. Regression analysis is the bridge that takes you from just having data to actually making smart decisions. It gives businesses its amazing power to turn messy, raw numbers into clear, actionable insights. By putting a number on those hidden relationships and predicting what's next, it literally turns uncertainty into a competitive advantage. And, at the end of the day, this isn't just for giant corporations with teams of data scientists. Your work, your industry, even your personal life, it is full of data. So the real question isn't whether the patterns are there, because they are. It's whether you're looking for them. So what hidden stories are you waiting to uncover?